One of the beautiful things about exercise is that it can be done in so many different ways and molded to fit your goals and interests. But are there some forms of exercise and principles that should be non-negotiable or absolute staples in your exercise routine? Well, if you're not only trying to optimize your fitness, but also your overall health and longevity, then the answer is yes. So in today's video, we're going to discuss some of these incredible health and fitness benefits that comes with this form of exercise. And this will help us to understand why almost everyone should consider it. And of course, we'll talk about how to do this form of training and how to incorporate it into your weekly routine. We'll also have a little bit of a fun discussion, dispelling some of the myths around lactic acid and what lactic acid actually does to your muscles. It's gonna be an awesome one. So let's do this. So what is this all-important type of exercise? Well, it's a form of that dreaded cardio. And maybe I should say dreaded only for some, because there are definitely plenty of you out there that can't get enough of this type of training. But this type of cardiovascular training is designed to build your aerobic foundation or your aerobic base, and it's often referred to as Zone 2 training. And the Zone 2 type of training is a form of steady-state cardio, done at about a moderate level of intensity. And again, we're gonna definitely talk about how you can find your own personal Zone 2, as well as how to incorporate it into your routine. But let's first answer this question of why should everyone consider this type of training? Because it makes sense for somebody like an endurance athlete or people who are interested in long distance running. Or long distance cycling makes sense for them to do this type of training. But what about somebody like a power lifter, or maybe even someone like me who likes to play a lot of basketball? Because I can tell you, we didn't do a lot of Zone 2 training to get in shape for basketball. Well, we're gonna answer this by talking about the incredible physiological adaptations and changes that occur within your body due to Zone 2 training, and how that translates to what I would consider universal fitness and health benefits. Zone 2, training will strengthen the muscle of the heart, which obviously will help to improve fitness. And this can also lead to improvements in resting heart rate, as well as even blood pressure, which that can help to reduce your overall risk of cardiovascular conditions. Over the long-term, Zone 2 training also has an amazing effect on your muscles. Specifically, the slow twitch muscle cells, or the slow twitch muscle fibers. Now, if you've watched this before, you've likely heard us talk about slow twitch versus fast twitch muscle fibers, and even some of the intermediate fibers. But if you're new to this, let me give you a quick synopsis on fiber type. If you were to look at a whole muscle, you would see that it was made up of thousands and thousands of muscle cells or muscle fibers, and some of those muscle fibers would be classified as slow twitch. And these would be fatigue resistant. Think of them as your endurance type fibers because they utilize oxygen, are more aerobically based. Whereas the fast twitch fibers don't utilize as much oxygen or more anaerobic based, but they can contract with more velocity, produce more force. But they tap out quicker, meaning they don't have as much fatigue resistance, and activities that would engage your fast twitch fibers are things like sprinting, jumping, or even heavy resistance training. And it's actually good we brought up the fast twitch fibers, because again, we're talking about why should everyone consider this type of training, especially if Zone 2 is mostly going to cause physiological adaptations directly with the slow twitch fibers. Well, we're gonna make the case that developing those slow twitch fibers through Zone 2 training is gonna also have some indirect benefits for these fast twitch fibers. Consistent Zone 2 training helps to promote the development of new capillaries, which are tiny exchange vessels that exchange nutrients and waste products between the bloodstream and the tissues. And muscle tissue would be included in this. So think we're literally growing more of these tiny tubes or tiny capillaries. They're going to penetrate into the muscle tissue, bringing in more blood and more oxygen, which those slow twitch muscle fibers are gonna be more than happy to gobble up that extra oxygen during those aerobic activities. And you could see how that could improve fitness. Not only can we bring in more oxygen, but if we have more capillaries and more blood, we can bring in more of other substances like fats and carbohydrates, which could be utilized to create the energy currency of our muscle cells or muscle fibers, that ATP. And fat is going to be more important in just a second, because we're going to talk about how Zone 2 primarily utilizes fat, but bringing in more carbs can also be beneficial to those fast twitch muscle fibers, because they primarily utilize glucose, a carbohydrate. And so you can see that's one of our indirect benefits to the fast twitch fibers through this Zone 2 training. Now, we also want to think it's not just about bringing in more substances to the muscle tissue with this increased capillarization. It's also about being able to more effectively pull things out and away from the muscles. Things like metabolic byproducts. So if we're more effective at removing metabolic byproducts from the muscle that could benefit any of the muscle fiber types, And my favorite physiological benefit that occurs with Zone 2 training is that the mitochondria within the slow twitch muscle fibers will increase in size and therefore their work capacity becoming more efficient. Plus, the overall total number of mitochondria will increase in those slow twitch muscle fibers, and all of us who have taken biology are probably trained to think mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, because it creates ATP in the presence of oxygen, and that is absolutely true. And from an exercise perspective, again, we're just building more upon this. We've increased the blood flow already. We've increased the amount of oxygen we can bring in, and now that oxygen can be funneled into more mitochondria and creating more ATP, which would increase our fitness and our work capacity. But improving and increasing the mitochondria is more than just about improving our fitness and work capacity. There are tremendous metabolic long-term benefits that occur from developing our mitochondria that can help